What's up guys, my name's Formula and today we're here with Crucast doing a track breakdown of mine and ACP's song Shards. This is what it sounds like.
Till the break of dawn, bitch!
Out now, so if you don't already have it, go get it. If you do already have it and you want to know how I made it, then this is what we're doing. Okay, so this is what I did with ACP Archie. So we've got, 37 channels of audio. Everything's sort of split up roughly into groups. We've got the effects channel here, which has got an unholy amount of delay and all sorts on it. The drop up here in blue, it's quite important if you separate stuff and put them into groups for organisation and stuff like that. It just helps getting a much cleaner mix down, or at least when you get to that side of it, when you have to start doing the mix down and stuff like that, having everything in groups is so much more helpful. So we'll just quickly run through the pad section of the track, or the intro and the effects and whatnot. We've got quite a lot going on, but yeah, we can go from top to bottom. So we've got our riser and whatnot here. I think it is just a reversed cymbal. Yep. That builds a nice bit of tension. Then we've got the build up, which is a loop that I've used in so many of my songs. Do not steal it. It's this one here, which basically it's actually from a Tech House sample pack, but I think it works so nicely as a not too heavy build up, but it still works in that aspect, if you get what I'm saying. Then we've got a cymbal roll, which just adds a little bit of a human element to it. A reverse clap, which has been stretched out, I think. Yeah, and then the same clap, which comes back in right on the 29 as the drop sort of, or as the build-up sort of kind of starts to sort of fade off a little bit. And then underneath that we've got I think this is just some Foley effects and whatnot. Yeah, I think it's a rain tube and some tribal-y kind of shakery sounds and stuff like that. Really good for atmospheres. Then we've got a break, which has been heavily delayed, and this is a frequency shifter. So you get that really glitchy sound. This is what it sounds like without it. Just a break. And then I think I've pitched it down here. Yeah, it's gone down 10 semitones. And then popping all these effects on it, you get very broken, kind of like worn out toy sort of sound. And then finally the ping pong delay on the end, which just fills out the mix in general. Underneath that we've got the riser that builds into the drop, which is from a Tech House sample pack as well. This rises up like that. And then we've got the real big element of the build up and the intro, which is this pad from Splice, I think. With some serious delay on it. Without the delay, it still sounds cool, but I think with the delay on it, you get that overlap of sounds, which makes it just sound a lot more menacing, I guess you could say. So altogether, the effect and intro sounds like this. So you've got all those different elements in there that fill it out, instead of it just being the single pad on its own, which actually it used to be just the pad with nothing else, right up until the 17th. So I get a lot of my samples from Splice, and from 9 times out of 10 I'll screen record my own computer, so from films and tech demos. Actually I've used quite often on, like, so if someone's running a tech demo of a new synth, I'll sample some of the stuff that they've done just on the fly as a tech demo, and then process it and use it in a completely different way. yeah, there's lots of different avenues you can go down with sampling, not just going on Splice and searching up like bongo. If you literally go on YouTube and look up bongo video, even if it's someone just learning how to play, you can get some fantastic hits and samples just from little videos like that. But yeah, so that is pretty much the intro of the tune. It is also heavily accompanied by this vocal, which is from Splice. I think it's out of a dubstep pack as well, like a really heavy like Disciple kind of dubstep pack.
Till the break of dawn, till the break of dawn, till the break of dawn, till the break of dawn.
So I've basically chopped it up so that it doesn't say
Bitch, break.
that bitch bit at the end, because you want it to hit right on the drop with that phrase, so that obviously when it builds up it goes
Till the break of
and then you hit them with that full phrase
break of dawn, till the break of dawn, bitch.
and then it runs into your drop. And then following that, I think it's the rest of the sample here. Yeah, I'll play the full sample. Oh no, I think these might be two, they may be two different samples from the same pack actually. Hang on, whoops. Let me check. Yeah, so they're two different vocals, but obviously because it's the same vocalist or person that's recorded it, it sounds consistent and it works the same. So
till the break of dawn, bitch.
And then you've got the main synth that comes in here. And then to get that like stutter sound, all I did was chop up the first hit of the next part of the vocal. And I have absolutely no idea what the vocal says. Let me know down in the comments what you think this actually says. Because I don't know what it's saying. It sounds like like I want to f you, but I don't know. So I chopped it up and it sounds way cooler chopped up like that. So yeah, so that's the vocal. The processing on the vocal is just a frequency shifter, which I used in the second drop here, where it does change a little bit. So it goes
till the break of dawn, bitch.
So basically dragged it up, which in itself it just does already sound a bit like a jump up sound or bass. If I processed it more, I probably could have used it as an actual drop piece, but we didn't in the end. And then the vocal rack, this is like my biggest secret tool for vocals. I put it on everything. It can be very overkill and you have to tame it back a little bit, but this is what it looks like. It's basically just got an OTT, a compressor and an EQ and a gate, a noise gate. So if there's background noise in your recording, you put a gate on it and you sort of twist it so that you only get the vocal and nothing else. I'll show you how it sounds with the gate up. So it's basically taking out the bits that you don't want to hear and it's leaving the bits that you do want to hear. So if you've got a really noisy microphone, using a gate works tremendously to get rid of some of that floor noise. So that's the vocal, and then I think this is our sub. Yeah. Right, we'll go through the drop bits now. That should actually be in there. I made a boo-boo, but it's fine. So this is the drop. So the drop is mainly Archie's sound design. And what I've done with it is chop it up and do some little bits and bobs in processing to get the sounds to just pierce through even more and sound disgusting and dirty like they do in the track. So it drops here, and we go to the first drop actually, because it makes sense to do that. We'll go from the first drop. So it all pretty much falls in line like this for 64 bars, I think. No, 16. I'm terrible at maths. So we've got, I'll go through and break down everything now. So we've got the sub, which is like the main carrying element, I think, of the track. It's a serum patch, and I'll get that patch up for you all now to have a look at. It's so simple. It's the 808 I use in every single tune. It's literally just a sub. That is it. On its own, with no processing on it at all, it sounds like this. Still a nice sub, but once you start adding all these different elements, it really ties it up together. So I'll run through this quickly because there's quite a lot in this stack. We've got an EQ that just cuts out some of the frequencies that you don't want to hear at all in a sub. Multiband compressor, the auto filter, which I don't think is actually doing anything. Then there's a limiter, which is up 11 dB. There's two compressors there, which are meant to be used for sidechaining, but I don't use them. Actually, now that I think about it, there's a lot of stuff in here that's not even being used. Hot driven tape, which is just adding out a little bit of distortion, not too much, but a nice amount. And then we've got a sidechain here for when I want to sidechain. Not too sure why the sidechain's not on. It should be, but it might just be the older version of this project. But oh no, it's not being used as a sidechain. I think I'm using it as a soft clipper. Basically, if you run a signal hot, this is just acting as a normal compressor, so it's bringing that volume up and it's not going to sound awful. Whereas if I take the soft clip off, if you see over here in this corner, we're hitting the red, and if I ram that, it's just too much digital distortion. We don't want it. So nice and simple like that, and it's filled out. And then we've just got this saturator on the end, and I'm using the wave shaper tool to create a really weird distortion send, I think is what the word is. So yes, that's a sub, and the track without the sub sounds terrible. You need a sub in there. You always need a sub in there, even if it's either following the notes that it's going on, or it's just the one note and then you vary it by going up a note or down a note, this, that and the other. So that's the sub. And then we've got the sounds that Archie designed, ACP, shout out Archie boy, absolute G. We've got the first hit, which is one of Archie's little frog sounds. I've done nothing to this at all. I've added a little bit of reverb and I've turned it up. And that's it, sick sound. Then we've got the main element, which is why the track is called Gem Shards, because this to me just sounds like a very like glassy, gem, crystally sort of synth. So with this, I actually did quite a lot to it. I think I moved it onto the grid first of all. I also got rid of the tail here, so there's this, let me just turn that off. It's already got its own reverb on it, and I didn't want to use it, so I just used this tool here and just dragged it so that I cut it off so that it sort of rounds off quite nicely, and it just works as a shot, as a nice stabby short synth. Yeah, so that's that section. The important part about this sound actually is the EQing. The EQ work I've done, so I'll just group these so I can turn them off to show you what it sounds like without it. The sound is still there, but it's not very bright. So I've just boosted the main, one of the main resonant frequencies in the actual sound. As you can see, just here, there's two main frequencies. There's this back one here, which is just 2 resonant. So I've gone basically right down the middle and just pushing up that nice high end, and then in this second EQ I've just boosted the overall high end from about what 5-6k onward. Yeah, from about 2k onward. So 2000 hertz onward has been boosted up a little bit to give it that really like not harsh but also a little bit kind of, well, it's the sound of glass basically. And then we've got this third bass here, which is another Archie sound, which has been manipulated quite a bit. Again, with some crazy EQ work. This is what it sounds like with none of this on it at all. still a cool sound, but I think adding that harsher frequency into it I just think it worked a lot better, and it also fits in with the track a bit more because it sounds rounded off like the other glassy patch does. And then all I've done is, I think this comes in later actually in the second drop, so we can swipe over to that second drop now, all the way over here. So the second drop, we manipulated it a lot, I think. Yeah, so we stripped it back, did that vocal bit as I showed before, and then we went nuts with the sounds here. So we've now got two of these gem shardy sounds together, and this one's being frequency shifted. So if I pull this up, we can see that I'm actually changing the physical frequency of the sound. So it goes up. Which is a nice touch for a second drop as well. And the great thing about this is that you really can go crazy with it. So big, if you like, frequency shifters for jump up and drum and bass in general really is a super sick tool. So then we've got this B section. Oh, whoops. Where it's been frequency shifted up. And then yeah, we've changed the pattern here so that it runs through. So yeah, that's the drop. It's pretty simple, not a lot really going on. And then we've got the drums. So the drums is a big, again, it's pretty simple. Like there's not loads going on. I think one of the things that a lot of people overlook in making jump up is overcomplicating the drums, because when you overcomplicate your drums, there's too much going on in a track, which means that from a listening perspective, you're just not going to be able to blend it with other tunes because there's so much happening. So with this track, it works really well. Making tracks with stripped back drums and stripped back sound design, making sure that the song's good, but also making a track that less is more with jump up, and I think drum and bass in general. Because if you go overkill with it, then it just sounds terrible. Even though the sounds are cool and the drums are cool on their own, if there's too much going on in that combination of worlds, then it just doesn't sound good. So with these drums, we literally have a kick, and it goes 1, 4 on the half, 1, half, 4. Well, it's on the offbeat even. It's not on the half. It's on the offbeat of 3. And then you've got your hi-hats. So I'll slowly layer everything in one by one. So it's just 2 hi-hats, one's more open than the other. And then we've got the snare, a clap, another clap, and then we have this ride. And I think that's it. Those are the drums. So all together, you've got this. And then all we've done to filter those drums in is just a nice auto filter that just slowly sort of turns up like that and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, more wide, open, stop, and then nothing. And then we go, yeah. So all together, this is what the track sounds like. This is what the second drop sounds like, because you might not have heard the second drop. it's simple tune, and it works really well with lots of tunes that are in the same key as well. The only other thing I haven't covered is just this little vocal variation where it goes down instead of up. So it just falls off, basically. It's almost like the machine's shutting down and it's time to go home. So that is Gem Shards with ACP. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe. Check out the EP if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll see you next time.